At 1:23 a.m. on the 26th of April 1986, technicians were working on a low-power experiment on the reactor Unit 4 at the Chernobyl power plant when something went catastrophically wrong, which would result in the world's largest nuclear disaster. This is the story of the dogs of Chernobyl. When the Chernobyl nuclear plant's Unit 4 started to explode, fire demolished the reactor building and fires burnt for 10 days, releasing radioactive chemicals that spread through much of the northeast Europe, the continent, and even as far as North America. Radioactive elements included plutonium, iodine, strontium, and caesium. The disaster resulted in the immediate evacuation of over 100,000 people from the surrounding area. Many pets were abandoned, including dogs, as residents were banned from taking their beloved animals to safety. Anecdotal stories from survivors tell of dogs howling, trying to get onto the buses with their owners, and soldiers pushing them out and even kicking them amongst the chaos. Many dogs ran after these buses in a bid to stay with their owners. Following the explosion, an exclusion zone was established. No one could be within 19 miles of the nuclear site. Heartbroken families pinned notes to their doors before having to leave forever, with pleading messages such as "Don't kill our Zuka, she's a good dog." However, it said no mercy was shown and squads were sent into the area to dispatch of the animals. Yet some survived, and for those that did, they were now living in a highly contaminated environment. These dogs were scavenging to find food and water, sleeping in abandoned buildings, and begging cleanup crews for scraps. Nearly 40 years on, hundreds of stray dogs have learnt to survive in and around that exclusion zone, and many are the descendants of those abandoned pets. While radiation can have severe consequences on living organisms, it isn't uncommon for animals to adapt to radiation exposure over time. In the case of the Chernobyl dogs, they adapted to the high levels of radiation by developing thicker coats of fur, helping protect them from harmful effects of radiation. Nevertheless, these dogs still face many challenges. The contaminated environment has led to a range of health issues, including genetic mutations and higher rates of cancer. And it's estimated that the dogs have a lifespan of just a few years due to the harmful effects of radiation exposure. Furthermore, many of the effects that the researchers have seen in the dogs and other animals like wildlife parallel what has been observed in the past with the Hiroshima atomic bomb survivors in Japan during the Second World War. This includes increased rates of cataracts, as the eyes are typically the first tissues to show signs of chronic exposure to ionizing radiation. Various researchers have been studying the Chernobyl dogs to gain a better understanding of how organisms adapt to radiation exposure over time. Data indicates the Chernobyl dogs have undergone genetic mutations that may help them to better survive in their contaminated environment, such as high levels of the TLR7 gene, which plays a role in immune function and inflammation. The researchers believe that this mutation may help the dogs to better fight off infections and other diseases. Another recent study analysed the genomes of 302 of the Chernobyl dogs and found those living in the nuclear plant were more inbred and pincher-type breeds. While the dogs in nearby Chernobyl city, which is located about 9 miles away, and Slavutich, which is around 28 miles away from the disaster site, they were more of a mix of modern breeds. However, the long-term prospects of the Chernobyl dogs remain unclear. While the descendants of those pet dogs that were abandoned have adapted to their contaminated environment, they still face many challenges, and studying these dogs can provide valuable insights into how organisms adapt to radiation exposure over generations, and therefore may help to inform strategies for mitigating the impact of future disasters.